Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Rachel Kellner, owner of Aigner Chocolates, one of the oldest chocolate shops in New York City. Rachel, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really impressed that you got our name right. Typically it's butchered in more than 10 ways.
Well, I'm glad I got it right. That would be embarrassing if I didn't. Let's jump right in, Rachel. Tell
Sure.
us a little bit about the company.
Sure, absolutely. So Aigner Chocolates is one of the oldest chocolate shops in New York City. It's been in the exact same location for 93 years. And my husband and I are the third family to own it. He was driving down Metropolitan Avenue, went in to buy me chocolate. There was a for sale sign on the door, and he met with the owners that day. 4 weeks later, we signed the contract. 5 weeks later, we opened 10 days before Halloween of 2015. And my background, I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker in drug addiction. So my line is I used to help people with pain, and now I help enable addiction.
I can't wait to get a T-shirt. So you you guys had no experience in chocolate, let alone retail, or I mean, I guess there's more to the business. We'll find out soon, more to the business than retail, but you had
Yeah.
no experience in chocolate and you just decided to buy a chocolate store.
So we had a little bit of experience. My husband's actually a pastry chef. So it was always his dream to open a chocolate shop. Chocolate and pastries are different though, but he did have that background. He worked as the assistant pastry chef at Gotham Bar and Grill, and he also is one of the original owners of Little Cupcake Bake Shop. I, however, had absolutely no experience whatsoever in food, in chocolate. I know how to eat it and I've learned how to sell it.
And what experience did either of you have in terms of running a business?
Well, my husband has run multiple businesses. So he owned a bakery, he owned a restaurant, he owned a deli, amongst
Gotcha.
other businesses. I, however, had zero experience. But I used to run 3-hour psychoeducational groups with drug addicts who were in treatment as an alternative to street crime. So I knew how to manage people. I've always, had staff to manage. I was the assistant clinical director of an outpatient drug program in downtown Brooklyn, prior to taking over the chocolate shop.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And are you both running the company? Do you have titles?
I'm the president, of course, 51% owner, and my husband is the vice president. He's 49% owner.
And is the 51 for MWB purposes?
Well, I mean, initially it was, but
Right.
now like I do run more of the company. I mean, I run the operations and I do the business development, although he's the creative genius and he's the
Gotcha.
one that has the pastry skills and oversees the chocolate kitchen.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about the business. There's the retail location.
Yep. Yep.
I'm guessing that there's more to it than that.
Absolutely. So we are actually two businesses in one. We manufacture everything in-house and we retail, and we have a footprint online. And then we also have a corporate revenue stream. And then in addition to that, we are now in Hudson News in 10 terminals in JFK and LaGuardia airports.
So
So
is that
yeah.
sort of like wholesaling in a sense?
It's sort of wholesaling. It's our only wholesale account, and we're not looking to wholesale any further than that. We just thought that the opportunity was so great with the exposure that we would be receiving in the airports. But due to the amount of labor that's involved in manufacturing chocolate and hand decorating everything, we're not interested in a wider distribution than that.
So I just want to drill down on that for a second. Is it you don't want to do more wholesale, or you don't want to expand any
We
larger?
don't want to do more wholesale. So we're looking to possibly enter the Manhattan market. We've been talking about it for a really long time. But when we took over the business 7 years ago, the majority of the business walked through the front door. And as a result of me being in the business, we've really expanded our corporate footprint. And that's what we've been trying to grow.
When you say, just so everybody understands, when you say corporate footprint, you mean
So, I mean, instead of sending snacks at Christmas time, like Work Better Now did, they could send Aigner chocolates instead.
it's on the list. Gotcha. Gotcha. So it's like corporate gifting and things like
Yes,
that.
exactly.
Right. Does that put you in the fulfillment business as well?
Oh, absolutely. We feel like Amazon. often during the holiday time. So we do all of it.
I'm
Uh,
sure that's exactly what Amazon looks like.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. And tell us, so you have multiple parts of the business.
Yes.
Um, Tell us about your team. Who's making all of this happen?
So we have a chocolate kitchen and we have a head chocolatier, and then we have four other staff downstairs in the chocolate kitchen. And then I have a store manager that runs the whole store. And then we have a front of house manager, an assistant front of house manager, our front of house staff. And then there's my right hand, Vivian, my assistant. And she is huge in ensuring that everything is facilitated seamlessly.
And then who's handling all the fulfillment and all of the and then all of the marketing to, let's say, the corporate market?
So in terms of fulfillment, our front of house staff fulfills everything. So our front of house staff is packaging our product. They're handling our customers out in the front of the house. They're handling all of our online orders and our corporate orders. And in terms of marketing, I do an enormous amount of networking, and I do not go anywhere without chocolate.
I
And
guess that's right. It's better than a business card.
we have chocolate business cards.
I'm sure, right? Of course, once somebody eats them, it's probably a little hard to get the contact.
I know. That's what people say. But then also, in addition to marketing, we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. And then also I've generated a ton of publicity for us. I became our publicist. So I send out press releases all the time, and we're constantly in the news.
Gotcha. So there's no way you would be able to do all of this without technology. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're leveraging technology to, serve all of these different markets and make some great chocolate?
Yes. So, in terms of the manufacturing, we're using very old machines. Interestingly enough, we finally were able to save up and buy a brand new piece of machinery. And ironically, we're not even using it. So I think that that's really interesting. Yes, obviously we're using technology. We have an e-commerce platform. We're using WooCommerce. We use Square for our point of sale system. But I mean, I would say in terms of technology, and leveraging that, it's really just like the emails and the computer, like it's simple stuff, that we're using. And that's really allowing us to grow and expand. And quite frankly, what's really allowing us to grow and expand is me having an assistant, because I feel like I'm able to be in 10 different places at once. Like right now, I'm on this call, but my assistant is following up on everything, and it's unbelievable. I would say Google Calendars, actually. Google Calendars and Trello are probably the things that are driving my business right now, because my calendar is the most important thing, how I spend my time. Because between my husband and myself, we were able to generate more revenue than other staff on the team, directly speaking. But then also Trello is our task management system, and that's what I use to run the company. I don't know if you're familiar with Trello at all.
Of course, yeah, project management tool. Gotcha. You mentioned Vivian.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about her.
Sure.
What has your experience been with Vivian? When did you hire her? And why don't we start there?
Okay. So I brought her on in the end of November, which was wonderful for me and probably terrible for her. It's our busiest time of the year. And she's literally, I mean, she's changed my life. I'm a young mom. I have a 4.5-year-old, and then I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. And my goal was always to grow the company so that when my son started kindergarten, if I wanted to pick him up at 2:15 or 2:30, and wanted is the operative word, I would be able to do that. He's starting kindergarten in the fall. And what she's been able to do, the amount of sickness and days off I've had to take in order to be with him, and knowing that Vivian has been there. I mean, it's been unbelievable. Just to show my gratitude. So, she's worked with us now 6 months, and I think now is the point at which she's eligible for vacation. I'm going to Disney World next week with my son, and I'm bringing my mother. And I told Vivian that her Mother's Day present was that she was going to get the week off, and it wasn't going to count towards her vacation time.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we hear terrific stories about how people go above and beyond, how our clients go above and beyond to thank and to help their WBN professionals. So that's great to hear that. What has having Vivian, I mean, you started to mention a few things, but what first of all, let's take a step back. What exactly does Vivian do for you?
I mean, most important thing is that she manages my inbox and she manages my calendar. And when you say those two things, it's like, oh, that can't take that much time. But I come from the great communicators. And so every time I have a meeting, I want to be following up within an hour. Every time my corporate order goes out, I want to follow up exactly 2 days after to find out how everything went. Every time I offer to make an introduction, I want to do it immediately. And so she gives me the ability to delegate the things that take a lot of energy to free me up to do the things that are going to help us grow the company. And then in terms of my schedule, I mean, for example, we have this big opportunity coming up, and I am just book solid with meetings. And I just said to her, like, we can't keep doing this. And she's like, okay. And then she created a solution immediately. She's like, I'm only booking meetings on 2 days for you. The rest of the days you're going to be free. And I don't like, there are times where I'll literally call her and I'll go, Vivian, what am I supposed to do next? Like, what's the priority? Because I can't think straight because my mind is just racing. And she's also my biggest champion. Like, first thing in the morning, I get the exact same text message every morning with a smiley face and a rainbow emoji with my calendar. She reminds me to set my alarms. And then, like, I know when something big is happening in my inbox because she'll be like, Rachel, in capital letters. And then I'll know, like, that a big email is to follow. So she's become my cheerleader too. So I would say inbox, scheduling, and cheerleading. Those are the 3 things that she does.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. That beginning of the day text message sounds almost as good as chocolate. I mean, it's almost.
I wish that, like, she could be here. Like, I wish that I could afford to fly her here, and I plan to one day, because, like, I just know that she would literally do anything and everything. And, like, her attitude is just so unbelievable. You don't find that here in America. That work.
It's tough to find. And we do hear that across the board about our talent. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like what she's really freeing your time up to do what you do really well, including that's driving value for the company. It also sounds like she's helping to improve the customer experience with the follow-ups and turning things around so quickly, because everybody wants everything done in an instant these days.
Yeah. Also, the other thing that she's doing to add value to the company is that whenever I'm not physically in the shop, she's always accessible. So she goes above and beyond to ensure that if I'm not there, if I can't answer a question, and quite frankly, everything goes through her at this point. She, thankfully, she's my gatekeeper. And so it makes me feel like I'm taking care of my staff, even though I'm not physically there to do so.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, it makes me think back to when I first had an assistant, and not my first, but my second assistant was Jessica, who's now the general manager of Work Better Now. I don't know if you've interfaced with her, but I remember thinking after just a month or two that I can't believe I used to work without her. Because once you do it, it's hard to imagine ever going back, because it's night and day. It's like a different world.
Vivian says that to me often. She's like, Rachel, what did your life look like before me? And I said, it was hell on earth. I mean, I'd be up till 1 o'clock in the morning every night. I'd work every moment I could on the weekends. I mean, it was absolutely awful. She's literally given me my life back.
That's a little powerful, I would say.
A little bit,
That's just a little bit.
bit.
Rachel, what do you like to do when you are not working?
Great question. I like to spend time with my son. I like to spend time with my girlfriends. That's really important. And one of the things that Vivian is super encouraging of is taking time off during the day so that it's not like my only time when I'm not working, I'm spending with my son. Because I think as a young mother, it's really, really important. Self-care is essential. So, like the other day, I said to Vivian, I actually scheduled a pedicure in my calendar. I didn't tell her to do it. And she's like, I'm so happy I saw that you scheduled yourself a pedicure,
Sure.
you know?
That's funny.
So, yeah, so just, yeah, so finding different ways to take care of myself, spending time with my girlfriends, and spending time with my family.
Awesome. Rachel, where can people find out more about you and the company?
AignerChocolates.com is our website, and you
Can you
could,
spell that? Well, I'm sorry. No, never
absolutely.
mind. It's on the screen. We got it on the screen.
Yep. So AignerChocolates.com. And then
Yep.
also you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. And then also, if you're in the area, you can stop by 10302 Metropolitan Avenue. We are open 7 days a week, 363 days a year.
Fantastic. Rachel, thanks so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to speak with the Work Better Now community. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for starting a company that has changed my life and many other people's lives.
It's our pleasure. I will tell you this, Rachel. I used to own a media company here in New York, a magazine. It was a really cool business. And I will tell you by far, this is the coolest thing I've ever done because I hear comments like that. And then we hear great comments from our remote professionals in Latin America about how they're doing amazing work and it means so much to them. So how could you want something better than that from a professional career?
No, I mean, I think that what we're all searching for is how to make a meaningful impact on people's lives. And, I don't know, I thought that chocolate making made a meaningful impact, and then I met you, and there's nothing that compares. So
Well,
thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Glad that things are working out, and we'll see you soon, Rachel.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks.